We're a K-12 school. We have approximately 161 students, including adult education. Our focus, obviously, is literacy and numeracy at this point. We also have other programs in our high school that are augmenting some of our objectives to get more students into post-secondary institutions, such as the SHOP program, carpentry program, which is going to morph into electrical and plumbing. We also have the Northern Distance Learning program at the school here, which is a e-learning program which focuses on the -1 courses, the university level entrance courses. And we have our mainstream programming, which also is, in which we also offer the 30-1 courses. So we have a variety of different programming. We have a restaurant that we run through the school, which is kind of our culinary program, which you're aware of, you work in. We have the breakfast program, so healthy initiatives. We have the active after school programming that we do consistently, which focuses on training, wellness, and fitness for students after school. We have early bird programming, which is to get students engaged in the school before school, so we get them actively learning, actively engaged through exercise and some lessons, and that's from 8:30 to 8:45, then 8:45 to 9 o'clock. What's a community-based program? So everything that we're doing in the school is so that we can engage community members and students. If we have parents and community members on board and what we're doing at the school, we're gonna field some success. So that's all we're doing, is engaging community members. We have community meetings. The restaurant program brings community members in. We have a good sports program, which we bring community members in. We have an adult. Oh, one thing I forgot is we have an evening adult education program, which also brings community members in, and it's focused on adults coming back to school. And again, the main purpose is so that we can get community and parents, elders, back in the school and looking at our education as a good thing. We do a monthly newsletter. Again, it's a brief newsletter. We have our Facebook page, but we don't. I don't think we don't have our own website that we download all our resources onto. And there's a number of reasons for that. We don't have the manpower to do it, and it's very time consuming. I think it's basically integrating all community members, and it's a cultural component of educating our youth. It's like making education meaningful for each community. Using the resources we have in the communities, using the area to promote lessons and to promote learning. It's about working with community members and elders to engage meaningful conversations around the importance of education. It's about community buy-in to education. Ideally, I'd like to see more community members engaged in the lessons themselves. If we're working on our core subjects, math, science, social studies, language arts, it would be nice to have lesson plans that involve elders on a daily basis. Getting out on the land. We talk about the Dene Kadai. That's a big piece of that Indigenous education programming. Well, how are we integrating it meaningfully into the school is a big question, and I would like to see more community members involved. I like to see more elders involved. I like to see that knowledge being put down and integrated and interfaced and infused with the mainstream curriculum outcomes in a meaningful way, not just some silly conversation, but it actually hands-on practical use of how we're building a log cabin. That's math, that's science. What's that cabin used for? Well, there's a lot of traditional uses for that cabin. Those sort of things, like hands-on experiential learning that's based on facts and equations. So interfacing both. biggest thing is we talk about professional learning communities, and I see this as sort of a wing of a professional learning community, an arm of a professional learning community. What you're doing is important. What we're doing is important. What will work for us may not work for you entirely, but there's certain components of it that we definitely can share. We developed a 3-year strategic plan for our trades program. I shared that with another school. Will it work for the other school? Pieces of it will. Not everything will, because it's very specific to our school, but to share that basic template makes a big difference and saves a lot of work, right? So if we can get a network that schools can share their wins and talk about why things weren't so successful, then that'll help us a lot when we're planning where we want to go next. We all have the basic same problems. That's the reality. We have attendance issues. We have lack of success in the high school graduation rate. Our graduation rates are low. Our literacy and numeracy rates are a little bit below par on average. So we know what our issues are. We have some socioeconomic issues. How we're tackling them is, and the planning that goes forward is where we see this kind of program helping us. Because now we can look at other communities and say, oh, like, here's your success story. Let's look at it. This is where you've tried something and it hasn't worked. Let's look at that. Why hasn't it worked? It may work in our community. We may have different dynamics, but it's about documenting why things worked and why they didn't work. And so when we're planning ahead, we have some examples, some exemplars, and some things not to do. And again, every community is different, so you can't always using examples is important to get ideas, right?